The silence in the dales was deafening. A palpable wave of fear rippled through the village, a chilling premonition that something was terribly wrong. And then the news broke, a gut-wrenching confirmation of our deepest anxieties. Jacob Gallagher, our Jacob, was in the hospital, fighting for his life. It's a phrase that strikes a unique terror into the heart of any Emmerdale fan, a beloved character's name uttered in the same breath as hospital. We've been through it all with the residents of our favorite Yorkshire village, the fires, the feuds, the forbidden love affairs. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for the sheer, gut-twisting dread of knowing one of our own is battling for their very survival. This wasn't some distant, abstract tragedy. This was Jacob, the boy we've watched grow from a cheeky lad into a determined and, at times, deeply troubled young man. He's David's son, Layla's pride and joy, a familiar face we've welcomed into our living rooms night after night. And in a cruel twist of fate, the very place he aspired to work in, a hospital, became the backdrop for one of his most harrowing ordeals. The initial reports were a chaotic jumble of whispers and half-truths. An allergic reaction, they said. A simple mistake, a moment of carelessness at what should have been a joyous tasting event at the Hyde. But the reality was far more terrifying. A nut allergy, so severe, so sudden, that it sent a shockwave of panic through everyone present. Can you even begin to imagine the terror that gripped Layla? One moment, she's watching her son, full of life and laughter. The next, he's gasping for air, his face a mask of fear, his body betraying him in the most brutal way imaginable. The frantic search for his auto-injector, the agonizing wait for the paramedics, every second stretching into an eternity. It's a parent's worst nightmare, played out in the heart of our village. We, the viewers, were right there with them, our hearts pounding in our chests, our hands clasped over our mouths in disbelief. We've seen Jacob navigate the treacherous waters of his affair with Maya, a storyline that left an indelible scar on his soul. We've watched him grapple with grief and find his footing in the world. To see him brought so low so quickly felt like a punch to the gut. But Jacob, in his true resilient fashion, pulled through. The collective sigh of relief that swept through the dales was almost tangible. He was alive. He was going to be okay. Or so we thought. Because sometimes the most profound wounds aren't the ones that are visible to the naked eye. In a cruel irony that only the Emmerdale scriptwriters could conjure, Jacob's next brush with the sterile, unforgiving walls of a hospital was not as a patient, but as a student doctor. This was his dream, his chance to heal, to make a difference. His first day on placement in a bustling A&E department. We were so proud, so full of hope for him. But the reality of the front line was a brutal awakening. A baptism by fire that threatened to extinguish his passion before it had even truly ignited. The special hour-long episode that chronicled this day was a masterclass in emotional storytelling. We saw the hopeful glint in Jacob's eyes as he donned his scrubs, the nervous energy of a young man on the cusp of his future. But the relentless pressure, the life-and-death decisions, the sheer human suffering that paraded before him began to take its toll. Then came the moment that shattered him. A stabbing victim was rushed in, and in a moment of panic and misidentification, Jacob believed it to be April Windsor. The weight of that mistaken belief, the agony he caused Marlon and Rona, was a heavy cross to bear. It was a stark reminder of the immense responsibility that lay on his young shoulders. But the true emotional gut punch came when a patient arrived with injuries that mirrored those of his late mother. The past, a ghost he had tried so hard to outrun, came rushing back with the force of a tidal wave. The trauma, the grief, the raw, unhealed wounds were laid bare under the harsh fluorescent lights of the A&E. In that moment, he wasn't a budding doctor. He was a son, reliving the most painful chapter of his life. His subsequent meltdown was not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the immense emotional burden he had been carrying. To see him sent home, his dream momentarily deferred, was a heartbreaking blow. And as if that wasn't enough, to have his friend Sarah Sugden collapse in the very same A&E, forcing him to compartmentalize his own pain and step up, was a cruel twist of the knife. These hospital visits, these brushes with mortality, have undoubtedly changed Jacob. They have stripped him bare, forcing him to confront his vulnerabilities, his fears, and his past. But they have also revealed a strength and a resilience that perhaps even he didn't know he possessed. We, the loyal viewers of Emmerdale, have been on this roller coaster with him. We've shared in the terror, the heartbreak, and the glimmers of hope. Jacob Gallagher's journey is a poignant reminder that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, the human spirit can endure. And as he picks up the pieces and continues to fight for his future, we'll be right there with him, every step of the way, our hearts in our mouths, praying that the doors of the hospital remain closed to him for a very, very long time. Because a village without Jacob Gallagher is a village we don't ever want to imagine.